Hey guys, Micah from blackbearcustomkydex. I've got a video for you today on a sheath that I just made for whoops. I totally forgot to take the tape off the blade. I just did like a little thick pad of tape there so I could put the logo onto the sheath. Here's a word of wisdom for you. Only learned through making the mistake a few times. But if you're going to do any kind of stamping onto your sheath after you've already finished it and whatever, you need to retape the blade to add some thickness there, because when you add the heat from the stamp, it's actually going to cave the Kydex in and you'd have a scratching point against the blade. And in this case, I was stamping pretty high up, so it would create a streak all along the blade. So anyway, sorry, a little random tidbit there, but let me just make sure I didn't. Perfect. Okay, so I just completed a sheath for this PKS. I'm actually not sure what this is. It might be a mountain lion. I think it is actually, but I don't want to commit to that because I'm not totally sure of the model. But this was sent to me by Chris over at Skills to Survive, and I'm going to put the link in the description box down below so you guys can check that out. But he and I got talking, and he was going to buy a sheath off me, and so this is basically what we came up with. He sent me his PKS Pathfinder knife shop, whatever model this is. I'm going to go with Mountain Lion, but I'm probably wrong on that. Chris, let me know. So he asked for a sheath that was OD green, pancake style, meaning it's 2 layers enclosed around the knife with eyelets on both sides of the blade, top and bottom. And he wanted to be able to carry it with a multi-position tech lock, preferably horizontal, as well as have a dangler, or sorry, not a dangler, but a drop loop, essentially a sturdy loop that's fixed directly to the sheath, so it prevents it from swinging. It's not going to swing like a dangler, have this kind of motion on it, but at the same time it's lower than the belt, because sometimes it's uncomfortable to try to draw a knife that's up so high, and vertically that is, and it also has the flexibility to move a bit if you ever, if you sit down and you snag your sheath on something, excuse me, it's not going to crease or bend some hard plastic standoff attachment. So the leather will move and flex with that. So here's what we came up with. So I got that tech lock on there. You can see I've built a little standoff plate for the tech lock. And the reason is because this is actually a pretty thick blade, and it was very important that we got that plate to stand off so that the tech lock, well, we're going to be doing one of two things. Okay, sorry, my brain is jumbled right now. To achieve the drop loop, but also have the flexibility to really quickly transition and do a scout carry with this particular knife, with a lot of the Pathfinder and some other brands too. Excuse me. I find it a little bit counterproductive to do a drop loop the same way I normally do, where on the non-dominant side of the knife I mold up a tab essentially that I then fix my loop to. And the reason I don't like to on these is because right here around the actual part of the handle where the tab would be located, it's very round. It's almost a perfectly round handle, and it makes it really difficult in general to create good retention on these knives. So you have to work with them a little bit to get the retention, and having something up there could potentially flex the mouth of the sheath slightly, which normally for most knives that's not an issue, but for something with a round handle like this, it does make it a little bit less. You'd never actually have an issue with it, but technically when it's flexing, the knife would have a little bit of play in it inside the sheath, and that to me is a no-go. I just don't like that. So one of the things that I do for a lot of these types is I create a separate attachment that goes on there, and that's what we see here. The other part of the puzzle is that if you're going to be carrying Scout as well as dominant side dangler, that's actually going to be different sides of the sheath that you're looking at your carry system being attached to. So in this case, Chris is left-handed, so if you want to call the blank side, we'll call the right, and the side with PKS on it we'll call the left. So the right side of the sheath is going to be up against his body. That means that the dangler loop has to be on the right side of the sheath. However, if he's going to switch and carry left-handed Scout carry, meaning it's behind his back and he'll draw with his left hand in that orientation there, that means that the carry system now has to be on the left side of the sheath. So we needed something essentially where you could switch, excuse me, you could switch which carry system you're using without having the eyesore of that extra tab being sticking up toward the outside, because obviously if it's on the right side of the sheath for the Scout, or for the drop loop setting, and then you switch over to your Scout position, then that same side of the sheath is going to be facing outward now, and it's going to look weird. Plus the dangler might be in the way. So anyway, long story short, what I did here was I created this Tech-Lock standoff basically to make room, to make clearance for this drop loop adapter to plug into the Tech-Lock and still clear the handle, or the mouth of the sheath. The reason that you need to clear the mouth is because when you actually insert and draw the knife, it does flex the sheath slightly. So if this is pinched shut, if anything is essentially inhibiting this from being able to open when you're getting the knife in or out, it's going to lock it up. So essentially it would be really hard to put the knife in, and it would be very difficult to draw it as well. So it's very counterproductive. It's just not how it's supposed to be. So this little standoff plate just gives the extra space necessary so that you can put this device in there. All this is, it doesn't matter which way you put it. It's totally symmetrical. But all you do is you just seat that into the Tech-Lock, and you probably want to have your belt spacers in there at the 3rd and 4th rung, and then you just close this guy up. It's pretty tight, so you gotta close and make sure that the fins spread back apart so you can put that little gate lock in there. But right there, that's locked in there pretty tight. You can see that tab has just a little bit of motion. It's not going to move on you though, but that creates a good sturdy drop loop. That's very, very strong on the sheath. You don't have anything to worry about, and it puts it at a really comfortable height. So look at that. The belt will basically ride level with the top of the handle. So I really like that. I think that came out pretty nice. Checking out the draw on it, it's very smooth. I'm not left-handed, so I'm probably failing here, but so I probably wouldn't call it a ballistic one-handed draw, but it is very, very smooth draw. You can see that logo there like I was talking about at the beginning of the video, and yeah, it's just a nice looking sheath. I typically don't do pancake style, but you know, when I do, I usually try to do something, you know, a little bit stylistic, at least with the mouth of the sheath. But I thought this came out looking really nice. It's pretty comfortable, 0.093 thickness, so you get a nice fat 2 pieces of Kydex together to push against with your thumb. Got good click, there's no rattle, no play. Knife is in there really secure. And then when you do want to switch and carry this in left-handed Scout position, so there are a couple options. Either one, you just use it in right-handed Scout. 2, you carry it left-handed upside down. So you might want to be a little bit careful with that, but that is technically an option. Or 3, if you want to fully convert this to carry it left-handed Scout, you can do one of 2 things. Either you can plug a second Tech-Lock in on this side of the sheath and just have one ready to go, or you can switch this plate. This standoff plate is close enough to symmetrical that you can easily take the 4 screws out of it and swap it over to the other side of the sheath. And then obviously you'd want to take this out and you can rock it in whatever carry configuration you want. The drill hole spacing allows you to carry it horizontal, vertical, or canted for a comfortable cross draw. So whatever you want to do with the tech lock there, you can absolutely do that. And I'm fairly certain that I set up the drill holes on the plate itself to be able to do that, as well as the drill holes and the eyelets on the actual sheath. So, alright, that's what we got. So it's a pretty simple sheath. Not a ton to show. I'm sorry for rambling so much at the beginning. It's been a long day. So anyway, if you guys like this sheath, go down and hit that like button. If you like the channel, subscribe. Let me know in the comment section what you think about it. Tell me what you think of Pathfinder Knife Shop. I really love their stuff. Everything I've handled so far, I've been very impressed by, and I'd love your thoughts down below. So, alright guys, like, share, comment, subscribe, and thanks for tuning in. Stick around for the next one. God bless.